poses a question one time, and he poses it through a story. And a guy called Matthew writes it all down for us to be able to read. You can read it if you want to. Jesus walks into the temple in the center of Jerusalem. There's this massive, wide open courtyard space, and in that space you can find shelter from the heat of the day as the sun casts a shadow through some of the canopies and past some of the columns that hold the structure up. As this crowd gathers around Jesus, eager to listen and to hear what he says, he begins to start teaching. Only the teaching is in response to questions that some other people are asking. Because in the crowd there are some that want to listen and hear and have an open mind. There are some, religious leaders especially, who want to trap and trick and expose Jesus, thinking that he is a false prophet, somebody whose ways don't actually lead to God or to life or to peace. And Matthew records a conversation between Jesus and those religious leaders that we're going to dive into. They're trying to show Jesus how clever they are, how much they know, their in-depth knowledge of the holy writings, their in-depth knowledge of the ways of God. And so Jesus tells this story. One day, he says, a father goes to his two sons separately. The first son he goes to and he says, "Hey, can you come and help me? Can you go and do some work out in the orchard?" And the son says, "Yeah, sure, of course I will, Father. Absolutely, I know that would be pleasing to you." And his father goes off, thankful that the son is going to go out and do some work in the orchard. But the son never does. The son forgets about his promise and just carries on with his day. The father, not knowing this, goes to the second son, and the second son, he turns to him and he says, "Son, listen, could you go and help me down in the orchard? We need to get the harvest in." His second son says, "Oh, no, I got stuff to do. I'm sorry, I can't, I won't." And the father goes off dejected. A little while later, the second son realizes he's actually got more time on his hands than he thought, or maybe he has a change of heart and he decides that he will go down and he does do some harvesting in the orchard. That's the story Jesus tells, and then he poses this question to all the religious leaders who are trying to trap him. Which one of those actually does the will of the Father? The one that says he's going to, or the one that does it? And it's a trick, it's a trap to expose the fragility of the teaching of the religious leaders. He turns the tables on them. The whole point is, Jesus is saying God isn't impressed by people who know a whole bunch of stuff, say a whole bunch of stuff, in fact, say a whole bunch of the right stuff and appear in front of everybody to say the right thing. What is actually pleasing to the heart of God, what is actually going to help you grow a life of peace, is people that do it. It's the ones that go to the orchard that actually please the Father. And so my encouragement as we finish up this series that we've been going through all this term is to take the summer and to not become a person who knows in theory some stuff about Sabbath, knows in theory some stuff about generosity, knows in theory some stuff about simplicity, knows in theory any of this, but be a people who do it, who put it into practice, who create actual habits and rhythms in their life which turn something we know into something we do, which turns us into a people who are different. And so if you're looking for peace and joy and contentment in your life, my encouragement to you over the summer is to scan through all that you've learned, all that you've chatted through with other people, and see what is it that I'm actually going to do. I thought it would be a good way to finish would be to recommend some stuff going into the summer that you might be able to read or to use as an app that might be good for further reading if this has lit your candle at all. There's a whole bunch on the website, on the blog. If you go there, there's a whole bunch more, but I wanted to highlight a couple here today. First off, maybe no surprise, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. This was, for me, the book I read over Christmas that prompted me to do a whole bunch of things in my life and was the instigator and the initiator of this conversation that we've been having. It's a simple read, but one that is challenging and that moved me, and I hope might move you if you read it, to changing some things, and it feels accessible. It's not a theological heavyweight, but it's something that moves it from here into actually doing it. If reading isn't your thing, but you want to listen, then John Mark Comer had a conversation over a podcast, 6 or 7 episodes, called Fight, Hustle, End, Hurry, which covers a lot of the stuff that's in the book and is a really good listen. Here's another really good one, The Common Rule by a guy called Justin Whitmore Early. It's a fantastic book, and it is his end point, if you like, of seeking to put into place a rhythm, a habit, a trellis, a rule of living into his own life. Some things that he gave up, some things that he picked up in order to create a peaceful life. It's a really practical book. There's diagrams, there's discussion points. It's a fantastic thing to maybe go through with a couple of other people and use some of the discussion starters to think, what is it that we could do in my life, but also in our lives as a group? Tish Harrison Warren wrote a fantastic, poetic, beautiful book called The Liturgy of the Ordinary. If over this conversation you've been thinking that I would like to build a trellis, I would like to put in some habits, I would like to discover the peace and the presence of God in my life, but none of it makes sense to me. My life is about burning toast in the morning, brushing my teeth on the way out of the door to try and get somewhere, being late, being stuck in traffic jams. Then what she does in this book is a beautiful discovery of the presence of Jesus in the ordinary things. I thoroughly recommend this one. If over this term you have found more has been put onto your plate and you arrive at summer exhausted, then Rest by Alex Sojung Kim Pang is a fantastic book that explains how creativity, life and joy emanate from rest and how we're not very good at it and how to get better at it. It's quite a weighty book, it's got smaller print than some of the others, but you'll learn loads from it. Pete Scatsero's book, The Emotionally Healthy Leader, is a fantastic book on becoming a person who is emotionally healthy. He takes a deep dive into things that might prevent us from being emotionally healthy. Things like our marriage or the way we approach our singleness. Things like our family of origin. Things like the pace we're working at. And he suggests a whole bunch of really practical ways that we can become way more emotionally healthy. It's a great book. It's not one to fly through, it's probably one to do with other people, and it's a really great starting point to dive into what is your family of origin? What have you picked up about the pace that you live, about the interactions that you have, about the relationships that you're in, about the way you think about yourself that you didn't even notice you've got, but it's destroying you from the inside out. Click on the blog too, there's a whole bunch of links to websites and blogs to help you explore Sabbath, to find some great recipes from our Jewish sisters and brothers who use fantastic meals around the table to gather friends and family on Sabbath, some prayers, some blessings that you can use. There's some fantastic links to websites about minimalism and finding space in your house by decluttering, which leads to finding space in your mind and your life by decluttering. Check out some of those links. Finally, a couple of apps to recommend. Lectio 365 is a great one for prayer. It's updated daily. It has prayers and Bible readings and meditations and psalms that will lead you through a peace-filled rhythm of praying at the beginning and the end of the day. It's free. It comes from the guys and girls at 24/7 Prayer, and it's really great. There are plenty of other apps out there, but the 1 minute pause is a really fun one to download again for free. And it leads you through a 1 minute, a 3 minute, a 5 minute, or a 10 minute pause in your day that you can release all the stuff that's been put on your shoulders and refocus on Jesus. So practical. If you're thinking a Sabbath of 24 hours is way too much, well, 1 minute might be accessible, and this app will help you do that. So as we finish and go into summer and Sabbath and rest, may you know protection from the beast of more, who is never satisfied and drives you to distraction. May you know courage to resist the empire. May you be given creativity to come up with 1,000 ways of living a life of peace and blessing and joy. May you, as you look around you on different days this summer, be overwhelmed with the goodness that surrounds you. May your breath be taken as you are captivated by the beauty of the creation in which you live and move. May you be given courage to do the weird thing, the strange thing, the thing that not many others do, to grab the bull by the horns and to begin to build a life of peace and meaning and fulfillment. And as you do these things, may the God of lavish goodness and grace bless you with peace and grace and joy.